Hello everyone. We're going to talk about some interest today in your 7.6 notes. And let me tell you a little something about interest. Interest can be really, really awesome for you, or interest can be really, really stinky for you. I'm not sure if you guys have bank accounts or not, but interest when you have a bank account is awesome because if you keep a lot of money in the bank pays you some interest to have that money in the bank. So interest can be money in your pocket that way. But let's say you want to go buy yourself a brand new car. In order to borrow money to pay for that car, the bank is going to charge you interest. So you're going to owe the bank interest. So that's where it could be really, really stinky. But interest is a very important thing to know about because if you're going to have to pay interest on something, you want to know exactly how much you're going to have to pay. So there's a formula to figure out interest, and it's going to be I equals PRT. So let me tell you what those things stand for. So I is obviously going to stand for the interest. Remember, interest can be good or bad. P is going to stand for the principal, which is kind of weird. Oops. But the principal is going to be the amount of money that you are putting in, like the amount of money that you have for your loan or the amount of money you have in the bank. So it's the amount of money you start with, okay? Interest is usually going to be money as well. Rate is going to be the percentage rate that you're going to have to pay. And remember that percent is always written as a decimal when we're putting it in equations like this. Oops. And then T is going to stand for time. And time is always going to be in years. So these are some little hints that will help you figure out what is what in your problems. Okay, so let's just practice some problems and then we're going to do a little activity with interest after this. So let's say they want you to find the interest with a principal of $200 at a rate of 5% for 1 year. So let's say we're putting $200 in the bank for 1 year and we're getting a 5% interest rate. So we want to figure out how much money the bank is going to pay us in interest. So we're going to set up our formula so we don't know what the I is. This is going to be how much money we start with, so that's my principal. This is my rate because it's a percentage, and this is my time. So interest is equal to 200 times, now I have to turn this into a decimal, don't forget that important step, times time. So if you plug that into your calculator, and you can do this without me, you don't need to wait for me to do this because we all know my calculator is a little shady sometimes. Times 1 is going to equal 10. So the amount of interest you're going to get in 1 year by keeping $200 in the bank is going to be $10. Which doesn't seem like a lot, but it's pretty awesome to get money for nothing, I think. All right, so let's look at example number 2. How much would you need to originally invest to earn $150 in interest at a 7.5% interest for 2 years? So we only earned $10 on that $200, but let's say we want to get $150 in interest. How much would we have to put in the bank is what it's asking. So how much would you originally invest? That's going to be the principal. That's what's missing. This is our interest. This is our rate. And then this is our time. All right, so let's plug that information into the equation. So this time we're going to start with 150 is equal to my P, which I don't know. My rate as a decimal would be 0.075. And my time would be 2. So this time I need to figure out what P is. So I'm going to simplify this side. So 0.075 times 2 would give me 0.15. So I have 150 times P times 0.15. So to get P by itself, we're going to divide both sides by 0.15. So 150 divided by 0.15. It's going to give us $1,000. So what that means is you're going to have to put $1,000 in the bank if you want to make $150 in interest. So quite a bit more than our first example. All right. I'm going to have you guys try number 3 on your own and answer that question on your Google form, but let me just walk you through this one real quick because it's a little weird. So how much interest would you earn if you invest $300 at 10% for 6 months? So how much interest, that's what I'm missing. This is how much I'm going to put in, so that's my P, my rate, and 6 months. So that's my time, which we'll have to come back to that. So let's plug it into our equation. So I equals, my P is $300. My rate is 10%, so 0.10. Now 6 months. If you remember, time always has to be in years. So if it's not in years, you have to figure out how many months it is out of 12 total months in a year. So if we have 6 months out of 12, that's the same thing as 1/2 or 0.5. So you just have to figure out how much it is in years. So we're going to multiply it by 0.5. All right, so we're just figuring out what I is. So we're going to do 300 times 0.10 times 0.5 equals 15. So that means if you put $300 in the bank with a 10% interest rate for 6 months, in 6 months you could earn $15 for nothing. All right? All right, so go ahead and try number 3. Answer that in your form. We've talked about the really good interest here in your notes, and now we're going to talk about the kind of bummer side of interest in our little activity. All right, so good luck to you. Try number 3.